So I just watched this interview with the very divisive Gareth A. Davis. And when I say divisive, yeah, the man's a numpty, but he occasionally, just to be objective, he occasionally does say something that's actually worth listening to. And such was the case in this interview. Now, he did a lot of tiptoeing around. He seemed very wary of offending Eddie Hearn or Anthony Joshua. I mean, he's offended them in the past, but maybe he feels like this might be the straw that broke the camel's back. So he was tiptoeing around and he didn't want to lay blame at the feet of Eddie Hearn, Anthony Joshua, DAZN, etc. for this Tyson Fury fight potentially not happening in December. But eventually he came out and said that if he had to say who he thinks is not that keen on this fight, it will be AJ and Hearn. And personally, I agree. Now, I'm not sure whether it's AJ who doesn't want to fight. I suspect it would be more Hearn and possibly DAZN. I know that Frank Warren and many other people are saying DAZN are happy to go ahead with the fight, but that's just what they say. It doesn't necessarily mean that's the truth behind the scenes, okay? But there's somebody in my view in the AJ team who doesn't want this to go ahead. Now, I could be wrong. Let's say in a couple days' time, the fight gets signed, I'll be happy to come out and say, hey, I misjudged the situation. At the end of the day, I was just speculating. I'm not an insider. I don't have any inside knowledge with regards to the negotiations and what's really going on. I'm just like you guys, an outsider looking in. But my suspicion is that somebody in Team AJ, maybe it's Hearn, whoever it is trying to run down the clock. They're trying to nitpick the contract as much as possible to the point where time runs out and Team Fury decide to break it off and go in a different direction. That will leave Team AJ with plausible deniability. They can then say, oh, well, it wasn't us that broke off negotiations. It was Fury, you see? So they didn't want to fight. Then they can do that. I suspect that's what's going on. Now, why would they do that? Well, I'm sure that Anthony Joshua and DAZN and Eddie Hearn wanted the Tyson Fury fight last year because AJ was coming off a couple of wins. He was unified champion. He was in a relatively good place. And if he would have fought Tyson Fury, it would have been a favorable contract for him. Maybe it was 50-50, and then AJ, if he'd won the first fight, would have got 60-40 or whatever in the rematch. So, and also, AJ had only lost once at that point in his career. So they were willing to risk him taking another loss against Fury, right? Because, of course, it's heavyweight boxing. He could win as well. But in the situation right now, it's different because AJ's not got one loss now. He's got 3 losses. So every time he loses, his commercial value drops. His commercial value decreases. You see, and when he's just done this deal with DAZN and not long ago he signed this lifetime deal with Matchroom, they're watching their cash cow get flushed down the toilet with all these losses. So a third loss in a row, right? It will be his 4th loss in total against Tyson Fury this December would pretty much be curtains for the Anthony Joshua gravy train, especially if it's a devastating loss, a conclusive loss. So it's a different situation now. And because of that, I suspect that Team AJ don't really want it. And the reason that Team Fury want it so much now is for the same reason, because AJ is not, in my view, they don't perceive him as being as dangerous now as he was a couple years ago. Because they've seen more vulnerabilities in him, not just in terms of punch resistance, but even mental vulnerabilities, mental scars. The first Ruiz fight, the way he was clearly still mentally affected in the second Ruiz fight and even in the Pulev fight and the first Alexander Usyk fight, and the way he still didn't have the confidence to walk Usyk down in the fashion that was necessary to get the win in the rematch of Usyk. That shows that AJ still has a lack of confidence in his chin and his stamina and so on. So now that he's showing all these clear vulnerabilities, I think that Team Fury have said, yes, He's coming off back-to-back defeats. His confidence is on the floor. Now's the time to strike. Boxing is all about timing. So that's what I suspect is going on. Again, this is a provisional position. I'm not saying that I'm definitely right here. Okay? Maybe I've misread the situation as an outsider looking in. I guess we'll find out over the next couple of days. But that's my take on it at the moment. I'm concurring with what Gareth A. Davis eventually got round to saying. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And in fact, before I go, make sure you check out my recommended videos, which will be appearing on the screen at the end of this video. And I'll be doing that ongoing, just recommended videos, which are not always boxing videos. They're related to various other topics, which the more intelligent of you will find interesting and enlightening. So yeah, make sure you check out some of the recommended videos. All right, I'm out.